Look at that. If you want, you feeling a little bit funky, you want to dazzle your entertainment, take some of the cilantro, chop it up, and just sprinkle it over there. Oh my goodness, look at that. I just want to be invited to the wedding. That's it. That's all I ask. Beautiful. So you're welcome. You're welcome in advance. So when we come back, I will prepare our, finish preparing our salmon. We're going to throw that in the oven. And then we're also going to put our, I'll show you my secret to my seasoned rice. So stay tuned. So right now we're going to move into the entree portion of our menu. And if you remember before our break, we already prepared our salmon with the Machelle special marinade, which consisted of about a half a cup of soy sauce, a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar, which gives it a nice sweet and salty taste. They sell that in the stores, but you can't get it until you make it yourself. And then we have about a half a shallot, some slices of ginger chopped up finely, and about a half a stick of butter. No salt. Remember, do not add any salt to this meal. Why? Because soy sauce is very, very salty. So we just put some crushed black pepper on top of that. We're gonna cover it and seal it. We've already preheated the oven to 365. It's been warm for about 30 minutes now. You don't even need it for that long. It's just how long I've had it on. You can do about 10 minutes preheating. Always preheat your oven to get whatever smell from the last meal is in there out. Throw it in there. That's gonna cook about 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes tops. Why so short, you ask? Because salmon is what? The steak of the sea. Remember that. So salmon, like steak, gets dried out very, very quickly. So you don't want to cook it for too long, or you're gonna have a really dry steak and then your date's gonna suck. So our next dish we're gonna make with the salmon is some rice and peas. And no, this is not pilau, so don't email me like, oh, you didn't make traditional pilau. No, we're gonna make some regular seasoned rice and peas. I always make my rice a little bit differently from everyone else because I'm not a rice person. Even when you order it from the Chinese shops, it just doesn't taste that good to me. So I always, whenever I make it, I always have to season it. When I was little, my mom used to tell me that we were gonna have curry rice, but it was literally some 99-cent curry that she would throw in the water and just turn it yellow. So from then on, I hated rice. So we're gonna fry the rice first, and the way I fry it is I just pour about maybe 3 to 5 tablespoons of just regular cooking oil. If you're feeling like you can spare it, you can do butter, but butter again is very fattening, and we're all always thinking about a healthier way to cook. And we're gonna put about 2 cups of just regular cooking rice. And this is not long grain, this is just regular rice that you use, and you fry it. And if you see that, it'll just toss it. You can also put, I put some seasoning, just some regular seasoned salt in there. And not that orange stuff that turns everything orange, which is horrible. And you go ahead and you put some garlic powder in there. And you can be very, very generous with the garlic powder, because garlic is a nice, it's a healthy thing that people are into. And you can go ahead and add some celery salt. Celery salt is one of those ingredients that you taste, but you just don't know exactly what it is. I'll tell you a secret one day of how I make my fried chicken, and it's always so very, very good because I add in some celery salt. And you just toss that around and just let the rice and the seasonings melt together. And once this starts sizzling. And I always, since I'm frying the rice, I cook it on a very high heat. And that helps the rice cook a little bit faster than it normally would if you were to boil it. So see what we have here. And go ahead and add some pepper with my new pepper tool that you pump, not twist. Look at that. If you want, you can always add some basil to that and let that cook down. Or any other green vegetables, some parsley, or even some cilantro if you had it. But because we've already added the cilantro to the mussels, we don't want too many of our dishes with the same ingredient, because then everything's going to taste like the same thing, right? I learned that at a very young age, that we don't want all of our dishes tasting the same. I'm going to go ahead and add some more seasoning salt to this, just because we're going to boil this down and it's going to lose some of the flavoring once we start boiling it. Okay, so you hear that? It's sizzling, so that means it's almost ready. You also can tell it's almost ready by the way it's breaking up. So you see it, so you're starting to be able to see each grain of rice individually, so you know it's almost ready to get some liquid into it. Right? But you never had rice like this. So now that it's almost ready for the liquid, instead of water, I know you're waiting for me to turn on the faucet. I'm not going to do that. Why? Because it's called seasoned rice, not just regular white boiled rice. I actually just use some regular old chicken stock. Oh, listen to that. What? Just pour enough of it so that it covers the rice. You hear that? I'm gonna pour some more. A healthier version of this would be to use a low sodium chicken stock, or you can use a vegetable chicken stock. I've done it both ways and it's come out just as good either way. It's angry at me. That's okay, it's gonna get eaten. The rice is angry. So now we're gonna add 1 can of pigeon peas. Not the regular pink peas that you see in the store. Some nice pigeon peas. 1 whole can. And it gives it, it's almost a meal on its own, because it's, you know, great fiber, and you have some nice rice you can eat, and it's gonna taste so, so good. You can actually eat it on its own. My kids love this. One time I made this for my daughter's birthday party, and for some reason the rice was the first thing to go, and I'm like, well, what's so special about the rice? They're like, oh, it just tastes so good. So we got our rice boiling. Rice takes, oh goodness, rice takes about 20 to 30 minutes on its own, and depending on the type of rice that you buy, there are some versions that you can buy that's quicker, that has a quicker cooking time. So it depends on which one you buy. But the rice that I have takes about 20 minutes, maybe 10, 15, depending on how the rice is feeling. It's not up to me, it's up to the rice. So I turned that down to a medium heat because it's not frying anymore. Remember, you're done frying it, now you're cooking it. And let's move on to our vegetable portion. All right, so while we have our rice cooking and our salmon in the oven, we're gonna go ahead and start our vegetable. We're gonna make a nice garlic, we're gonna make a nice asparagus tossed with garlic and just some regular salt and pepper. I was talking to someone the other day about asparagus and about like childhood obesity, and they were like, how would we know what vegetables we were supposed to cook as a kid or eat as a kid? We didn't grow up with asparagus. So of course I totally stopped talking to that person, because who doesn't grow up with asparagus? Like, I don't know about you, but my mom used to make this all the time. I didn't like it, but it was a great, as an adult, I came to enjoy it. So as a kid, if you weren't eating asparagus, I don't know exactly what you were eating. So with asparagus, it's funny, it's a tricky vegetable. It's really, really good. It has a unique flavor to it. However, you have to cut off the edges, because the end of it is very, very tough, and then you're gonna start, it's like you're eating a big piece of stem from a bush, so you don't wanna eat that. So what I do is I just line them up Take a handful of them, and I'm very generous with it. So I cut about 1 inch, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on how I'm feeling, you know me. And I just toss the ends into a bowl. One time I was watching a movie, and actually one of the actresses, she was making asparagus, and I'm like, oh my God, she's making asparagus, I eat asparagus. And she took them, instead of, I always cut my asparagus and leave them long, she took them and chopped them up into like small rectangular sections. So I was like, oh, from now on, whenever I eat asparagus, I'm gonna eat it like that, because she ate it like that. But that, it tastes the same, believe me. So we're just gonna take it, chop off the ends, and we can just take our bushel of asparagus, and it comes thick or thin, and these are medium size. All of them taste the same. You can throw them into a pan, and as you see, they all fit into a pan nicely. Turn it on medium heat. We want our asparagus to remain firm. We don't want to make it too soft. Why? Because then you're gonna have a big old lumpy stick, and that is not good, right? Take about 1/2 stick of butter, toss it in there as such, and let that melt and get to know the asparagus. Then you go ahead and you take just some regular salt. You don't need to do anything fancy with it. This is about a teaspoonful of salt. And just some regular old pepper. Where's my favorite pepper shaker? You just pump it in there. Some fresh crushed pepper. Why am I using fresh pepper? Why not? Make each meal an event. Why not go ahead and do it up for each meal? You don't have to be entertaining anyone. Whatever you put into your body should be meaningful, right? Right. So go ahead and you just toss in your salt and your pepper. Don't use your hands like I do. Remember, I have hot hands, so I'm able to grasp and hold a lot of hot things that a lot of people can't do, especially my children who try to do so, thinking that they're like me. Someone called them paws the other day. I didn't appreciate that. So you just toss it in on a medium heat. And what's going to happen is your asparagus, right now it's kind of pale, it's going to turn a nice bright green. And when it turns a nice bright green, that's how you know it's done. You can use, a lot of people eat asparagus raw, toss it over some salad. I love an omelet with some asparagus in it and some mushroom. Kidding me? So good. I eat it whenever, ooh, don't eat that one. I eat it whenever I'm alone, so no one can ask me exactly what it is, because I hate explaining it to them. It's just asparagus. It's not a fancy vegetable. It's just something that we all should be eating. It's a vegetable. You don't have to cover that. That's not something. This is not a vegetable you want to cover. You always want your vegetable nice and firm, like I said before, and you only have to cook it for about maybe 5 minutes. Which is why I always cook it last in the meal. Okay? And look how nice that looks. Beautiful. You can always go to like a farmer's market. Asparagus is kind of pricey in the regular grocery stores because, again, people think it's some sort of upscale vegetable. You can go right down to Haymarket on a nice early Saturday morning once, you know, spring actually rolls around, and get this for like maybe $1 a bushel. It's really, really good, and it's totally, totally worth it. So that's pretty much it. Let's check on our rice, which is almost done. See, it's boiling, and our salmon should be done any minute now. And once that's done, I wish you guys were here because you could smell this asparagus cooking. And you see it's already turning a nice green, a nice bright green. It's like, what is going on? And it's still firm. And what, girls? We like a nice firm vegetable. All right, so right after these messages, I will showcase what we have made.